Hi lovelies, welcome back if you're one of my subscribers, and if you're new here, you're very welcome. I'm Linz. Now I've had a few requests on, or a few questions even on, how did I find out I had bowel cancer? If you've watched some of my other videos, I went through a bit of the brief story on this subject. Yeah, I was diagnosed just over 5 years ago with bowel cancer. A lot of people wanted to know, did I have sort of signs, symptoms, any of that kind of thing. With things like bowel cancer, you're told to look out for, mainly constipation, but it's bowel habits, any blood in your stools, monitor different things on, if you're feeling sick, if you can't sort of like keep things down, if you're getting things like indigestion, any of them type of things, full, bloating, all that kind of thing. I'd been going to see my GP for a number of years with the opposite problem, where it was like I could literally be finished eating my dinner and the next thing is then everything would just want to come back out quite urgently. Now, this wasn't something that was looked for back over 5 years ago. It was always to do with constipation or blood or any of that, and I didn't have that. I did get bloating, and towards sort of like, the end, before I was diagnosed, I was getting like acid reflux, so to speak. But again, doctor kind of passed it off as I'd ate something, or, I was 31 at the time, so it wasn't something that they were concerned about in somebody of my age. So getting back to the picture you first seen, I had a dream for a long time. I've rode bikes from I was 15, motorbikes, but I had this dream that I wanted a trike, and I'd saved extremely hard and worked extremely hard to raise enough money to buy my first project trike. Now, I didn't want one that was already finished and already all kind of blingy and jazzed up. I wanted one that I could work on myself, do up, fix up, all that kind of stuff. And I was just lucky that I came across the banger that you've seen in the thumbnail for this video. You're all like, what is she rabbiting on about, and what the hell has this got to do with bowel cancer? Now, let me tell you. That heap that you've seen in my thumbnail saved my life. Here's how. I'd only had her a couple of weeks. There was absolutely no back suspension on her at all. So she's classed as hardtail. Basically, there's no absorption. So that when you hit a bump, your whole body bumps. There's no shocks, no springiness, nothing. Where at the part of the country I live here in Ireland, the roads are quite bad in places. There was this big pothole just half a mile up the road from where I live. Pothole is like where part of the roads disappeared, sort of thing, worn away, and you're left with this big hole. Now, I've been aware of this, forgot about it when I was on my way home that day, and the back end of my trike hit that and sent an awful jolt through my body and back and everywhere else. Now, that was grand. Carried on, made it home, was getting off to pull her into the garage, and I had the most almighty pain in my left hand side, down in and around sort of like my pelvic area. I was like, wow, what the hell is that? I was literally bent over. I managed to get off the trike. I managed to get her into the garage, lock up, everything like that. I was doubled over in agony to the point now I was feeling sick with the pain. I have an extremely strong pain threshold, always have done. So I will grin and bear things. I came in, I took some tablets. The next day I had an important event I had to go to. It was my sister was graduating from college. Went somehow completely doped up to the nines on the strongest painkillers I could find. Things weren't getting any better. The pain was excruciating at this point, and I looked back on some of the pictures from that day of her graduation, and I was an extremely strange colour. But I milled through, and the next day then, my partner and my dad at the time said, you know, right, if you don't go and get this checked out, go and see the doctor or something like that, then they were basically putting me into the boot of the car to bring me to the hospital. Okay. So I agreed, right, I'll make an appointment to see the doctor, you know, trying all this kind of thing, swallowing tablets like they were Smarties. Had a hot water bottle heat pad type thing on, trying to ease this pain I had in my left hand pelvic side. Me being stubborn just thought, oh, I'd pulled a muscle or I'd done something, you know, from the jolt I'd got that day on the trike. Little did I know. Went to see the doctor. The doctor had a good old poke around, and it was painful, and she could feel something there. And she went, so sorry, Linz, but, you know, I've no choice. I have to send you to the hospital. She says, I'm not sure. She said, I think it's a cyst. She said, but we need to check this out. You're in too much pain for me to just send you home with some stronger painkillers. So that was me. I think I came home first and had a cup of tea and done some other bits and pieces before I went in, and went to the hospital. Lots more prodding, poking, all this kind of thing. They'd done bloods, and I had that many people coming in and poking at me at this stage. I was getting to the point where I was fit to discharge myself. I didn't. I stayed for, well, a little bit anyway. My temperature was very high, which is quite strange for me because, like, my regular base temperature is only around 36, which I know is low, but I'm an odd person. Then, story on, sorry, bloods and everything were taken, other bits and pieces were taken. I think it must have been about a Friday, and they'd said to me that, you know, we need to do an ultrasound or something just to see what's going on. My bloods had come back, and nobody had actually said anything, but somebody had picked up on something, I think, with the bloods, and it was like here, and they started me on an antibiotic drip. I was still in A&E now, guys, at this stage, and they were trying to sort me out of bed, and they told me that basically, because it was a Friday, that nothing would be done with me until the Monday. And I went, no way. It was Halloween weekend. That's what it was. And I went, no way, you know, not having any of this. You know, I promised I'd go back on the Monday, begged, pleaded, everything else. Give me the antibiotics, I'll take them at home. Give me the painkillers, I'll be fine. Hate hospitals, hate doctors, hate anything like that. But, well, you know, I've got used to it over the last 5 odd years, but that was that. Sorry, hear my dogs and stuff, they're playing in the hall. I can't do anything about that. Went back anyway, couldn't fit me in, said they'd send me out a letter in the post for an ultrasound. Right, so I think it was about a week or two later, I got the letter to go for this ultrasound. No, standard practice ultrasound, you have to have a full bladder, you have to have this. The pain has subsided quite dramatically. You know, at this stage I still had like a little twinge, but it wasn't anything major. Whatever it was, you know, it was just a muscle pulled, or it was just something. So they brought me in for this ultrasound. They're doing it, and the next thing is then the lassie that was doing my ultrasound went, oh, hold on a minute, and she called somebody else over that was in the room and was getting them to have a look on this screen. And she said, I just need to go and get somebody for a minute, I'll be back, don't worry. And I went, well, can you hurry up, please, because I really need a wee. You know, you've got a full bladder and you're sat there busting. She went, oh no, she says, you can go for your wee. Or you can go to the toilet, should I say. So went off, done that anyway. Got back on the table, unbuttoned again, you know, lying there waiting for whatever. The next thing is, guys, the room filled up with people. Now, well, it's a bit of an exaggeration. I think about 4 doctor type people came in to have a look at whatever was going on this ultrasound. needless to say, I was sent out of the room. They'd found some sort of a lump. Once that was said to me, my world just kind of nearly went, whoa, blank, black. I didn't know what was going on. So then I was told to go off and get myself a cup of tea and things like that, maybe something to eat if I wanted. They were booking me in for an emergency CT scan. I was like, okay. So basically at this stage, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. My dad was with me that day and he took me down to the canteen, and it's like something in my body knew without being told. It knew. I couldn't see. I can't explain what happened. I couldn't see. I burst into tears. I didn't know. And this is before I was even told anything. Something in you just tells you. You just know. Then went back, had my CT scan. I was kept in to have colonoscopies done, which, if you don't know what that is, that's a camera up your exit only. Found what they seen on the CT, took biopsies. I was allowed to go home after that while we waited on the results. I was called back a couple of days later to say the biopsies they got weren't good enough. I needed to come in for another one. So again, I had to go through the whole rigmarole of having cameras stuck up in appropriate places. But, you know, that's that. You know, these things saved my life. Second one done, a couple of days later, I was brought back in by my specialist at the time, and he's absolutely an amazing man, and I can't thank him enough, because without, for a start, that first lady that done the ultrasound, she was new, so she was making sure she was looking for absolutely anything she could find. She was proving herself, and if she hadn't have been, you know, it possibly could have been missed, because it's not something that comes up on an ultrasound that often. Well, mine was quite severe. So the next thing, yes, I was brought back in, told it was definitely cancer, which I was fully aware of at this stage. I knew before anybody had even said it to me. You know, within 9 days, then I was being rushed up for emergency surgery to one of the top bowel specialists in the country, up to Dublin to the Mater Hospital. I'd never had any major operations or anything before. You know, I'd never really stayed in hospital before, the odd night for something here and there, silly. Shock was immense. But the moral, or the moral of this story? No, there's no moral of this story. The basic of this story is that trike that you've seen in the thumbnail of this video saved my life, because that bump that happened with the pothole caused a cyst on my ovary to leak, do something odd, and that's what alerted them to do the tests that found the cancer. So if it hadn't have been for that heap, bless her, she wasn't a heap when she was finished, now I'll give you that much. And not only that, she got me through my operation in a way, because through recovering from the operation and things like that, I was busy designing what she was going to look like when I had her done up and I was back on my feet. She got me through chemotherapy, because any moment I got and I was fit, I was out stripping down parts of that trike, redoing her. Yeah, I might look like just a pretty face now with a load of makeup on, sat here talking to you, but I'm extremely handy in the garage. I love my bits and pieces of mechanics and any little bits and pieces I can do. Yeah, I'm a tomboy, really, at heart, despite appearances. But yeah, the restoration then and everything of that trike just kind of helped me, gave me something to concentrate on. And I think you kind of need that when you're going through a time of your life where I didn't know, was I going to make it? I knew I needed the chemo, and nobody knew at the time how far things had gone or anything like that. And my staging was quite high. And when I'd gone back for the histology of that, my surgeon actually said to me, she said, "You are an extremely lucky woman." She said, "Any longer," she said, "and that was gone to the glands, to everywhere else, wherever else it was going to go in the body." And she reckoned that it had been slowly growing, check this one out now, in around a 10-year mark. She said if she had to put, I asked how long they thought it had been there, and they reckon, you know, the growth of it at the time was fairly slow growing, even though it had got so large that it was about the size of a teacup. So just a tiny little bit smaller than that. There's another cup of tea I've not drank, it's gone cold. Get used to it when I'm making these videos. But just at the end of this video, I'm going to put a picture up of what the first one, the picture you clicked on, looked like when I had her finished. And that was the saving grace of the whole thing and what kept me going through everything. So I hope, right, as I said, this has probably not asked any of the questions on symptoms and things like that. But I think I tried to explain some of the symptoms in the beginning. But another thing to look out for is, you know, severe cases of diarrhea. Things like that. And make sure you don't just dismiss it as, you know, if it's happening on a regular basis, go and see your doctor. Don't leave it too long. I've lost quite a few people now that I was having, you know, I went in with and things that left it too long, and well, unfortunately it was too late for their diagnosis. So please guys, anything wrong with your body at all, whether it be your bowel or anything else, strange looking patch of skin on your body, go and get it checked out and make sure they're thorough at checking you out. So anyway, thanks for watching guys. I hope if you're going through anything like this at the moment, your head's well with it, you know. That's not an easy bit to process either. So I'm gonna say goodbye now, and I shall see you again in one of my next videos. So take care, sweeties, and yeah, I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye.